Hey everybody, Try It Thunder here, and it's been a while since my last video. Apologies for that, I just kind of had some things going on, but also I ran into this issue with this recent update where it wouldn't even let me connect to the game. It kept kind of cycling out and to the point where I couldn't get on there, and I could get on there, but the frame drop was really bad. It would play for about 4 or 5 seconds and then have a really nasty frame drop, so I never really realized until now that I can just unplug my Ethernet cable and it would do it. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys what I have been up to kind of like since my last video. Somebody made the comment recently about how they wanted to see my build, how my build had differed from, well, just wanted to see my build. So I thought I would kind of make a quick video about that. Let me go back to Sanctuary here. And admittedly, I have not pulled up my last video, and I haven't watched it. So I will kind of put it to where I think I had it, relatively, minus maybe a couple skill points. So my old one looked something like this, I believe. Okay, I think it looked something like this, which, like I said, probably it was mostly in the survival tree. I think what was different. Normally, my gorilla and gunpowder are the same, so not much of a change there. But what I've been doing is I went ahead and tried out some things, and that's not to say my build is still set in stone, which it's not, but sometimes I like to just try some different things and kind of experience them. But for the most part, gorilla and gunpowder don't change. The same things. Okay, but over here in survival, I went ahead and switched to 5 in survival. I mean healthy. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I went and maxed that, and then I went ahead and tried it to play without last ditch effort to see how that would work. And technically, I'm still kind of trying it out. I mean, I've been liking it so far, so I might keep it for a while until I just maybe decide to change my mind, and then 5 in quick charge. So that is currently what I'm running for OP10. I mean, it's just, like I said, you guys, for people who've played Axton, you could probably tell what skills will detail and all that, but just like a quick overview, if we're going to do it, like on my gorilla, like I said, set in stone pretty much. I went ahead and just went for sentry, of course, because that's more turret up time. Then we have our reload speed, it's always nice. Willing, considering the shields that I use are mainly the Big Boom Blaster, Blockade, and Antagonist. That helps out a lot with that. So, and I kind of tested them as going up from like 0 to 5 to 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5, yada yada yada, so on, and it seemed to help out more than it didn't. So I went ahead and just stuck all my points in there. And before I would put a point in Scorched Earth, but my build now, well, not to say that my build was before, but most partly before, my build was kind of focused on Axton and the turret. But lately now, I've just realized that if I build more around Axton as opposed to the turret, I mean, the turret's nice, but the turret can't use TDR chucks. It can't use let-off guns. It can't throw grenades. So, and Axton can. I mean, having it is nice, but if I can free up some more points, be it 1 point or 5, then I'd rather do that. So I went ahead and just leave this unchecked. And like I said, I am planning on doing more DPS than the turret. And of course you got Onslaught, which I love. You could pair it with his other comms, which we might delve into a little bit later. And then Grenadier, I always do that. I love grenades. I like having more grenades. Some people might say, well, I mean, if you just have 10, 10's enough. And it's like, not for me. And it means that you'll be picking up more. Well, if you have, like, say 10, like the default, you'll be picking up grenades as you get lower, which might be, I don't know, maybe when you have 3 or 4 left. But since this will increase it, I think it moves that sweet spot with it too. So, and it's usually not a big deal for me anyway. So I don't mind, like I said, I don't mind having it. I would spec in Crisis Management before, but now I don't. Like I said, just to give me some more points for something that might come in a little bit more useful. And I mean, it's an okay skill. I never really had a problem with it, but there might be ones that can get me by a little bit better. And of course, double up. This one was kind of another one where I wanted to make the decision about whether it was going to be me or the turret doing most of the work. And quite honestly, I like to have the turret do the slagging. If it can do the slagging for most of it, then I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't mind spending a point, so that's why I plopped the point in there. So moving over to Gunpowder, we have our perennial favorite Impact, which of course is, I mean, it's kind of a modest skill, but it's still a good one. So I spec it. I love Expertise, having the swap speed. Some people like it for the Flacker / Ahab Nukem swap or whatever swap you're doing. I like that too, but just with every other weapon helps out quite a bit. And then Metal Storm, because Metal Storm, it's awesome. Firing, especially Vlad-off guns with that active is great. And kind of conversely, it'll boost your Torg weapons up too, where they fire really good too. So I love it. For Overload, I only put 1 point in because I have the class mod for Heavy Gunner that will affect. I'll go ahead and show you real quick. Heavy Gunner is going to be right here. So it's going to affect Metal Storm, Overload, and Steady, which are 3 awesome skills. So I do that so I can have 5 out of 5. And granted, this is only for magazine for assault rifles, but some of the assault rifles can go pretty fast, like a Torg, or they can go fast like a Vlad-off. And that helps out. It does quite a bit. So that's why I do that. And let me switch back here. Continuing on, we have Steady and Battlefront. Double Team, and I always spec those if I can, because they're great. Because Steady, of course, has a lot of synergies with my Expert Grenadier. So if I have that on, I'm going to have Impact, and I'll have Steady. I'll also have Grenadier, which is very nice. And it'll also have... quit doing that. I get tired of that. And it also has synergy with this one, too. And speaking of the Expert Veteran, since I do not spec Last Ditch Effort anymore, there wasn't really a reason for me to use the purple comm anymore, which is... I always like to use the comms if I have the skill, so I went ahead and just traded it out for a blue one, which mine is Steady and Pressure, which I do have, so it'll work out really nice. It just gives me a little extra than what the purple comm would do, but I know it's not going to be earth-shattering amounts more, but it's something I like. Then let's go back to the tree here. So we have the Battlefront and Steady. And Battlefront is useful because I'm also going to be having my turret out, so why not have Battlefront with it as well? It just makes sense. Then I'll have Longbow, which is a great skill, deployed anywhere. And then Do or Die, which grenades, it's always nice. And I really don't have any use for Call of Duty calls or for Ranger. The only place I would probably even do anything with Ranger is maybe a Tiny Tina comm, but even then, it just doesn't make any sense for me, at least, to spec that when it's not going to do a whole lot. The Nuke, which some people don't like, but I like. I like having Nuke. If you slag people and then throw that down, you're at least going to have the shield's taken off or damaged in such a way that they're not going to take much more to get their shields down. And if they don't have shields, that's just extra damage you won't have to compensate for just to shoot them. So why not? And then we have over here, this is kind of the tree that I made the most, the tree that I moved around quite a bit in, because I never really had enough skills to get some of these things before. Like before, I know quick charge, I wasn't able to get that because I enjoyed my other things, but now that I'm able to spec it, I love it. So people have done tests on this saying that if you have, I believe it was either 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5, you're able to outpace, well, your shield charging is able to outpace like a shock dot or something like that, but I honestly keep it at 5 out of 5. Reason being is there are dots and there are dots. Like, for example, like one of the crazier ones are the ultimate badass, what are they, necromancers or pyro mage, I forget what they're called, but those guys can do a insane amount of dot damage. They'll slam you with their staff, and then your shield's already down, and then you're taking dot damage. So it does kind of depend on who you're fighting. Some of those badass enemies especially can have dots that'll devastate you. So I will usually keep that at 5 out of 5. I mean, it's good enough for what it does that I like it. And then some people say if you're using the B, it might not really affect it very much, which I don't use the B. So it's not going to affect me a whole lot, to be honest. So, like I said, mainly it's the Big Boom Blaster, Antagonist, or Blockade, which 90% of the time is Blockade. I would use the Antagonist, honestly, more if it didn't have that annoying bullet, the annoying homing projectile on it, because that's just, if you're using like a sword explosion or something that can self-damage you, and it hits that homing projectile, it blows up right in your face, and that just irritates me to no end. But moving on, we have Pressure, which I started speccing this now, and it is awesome to have, especially when I go into fight for my life. I have the reload speed, and then of course, you're not going to have shield recharge delay in Fight for Your Life, but just the reload speed alone makes up for that. So it gives you a fighting chance in Fight for Your Life. And then the delay as well helps out with your willing, which it may not increase it very much, but it might increase it just enough that you have a fighting chance when you're low health. So, and then of course we got Preparation, which is shields. I tried maybe going 4 out of 5 and 3 out of 5 with this, but I always just keep coming back to 5 out of 5, so it's a good skill to have, especially with the shields that are higher. And then Healthy, like I said, this was the one that I kind of changed it up a little bit, because I believe I had like maybe 3 or 4 in Last Ditch, so I could put at least 1 point in Healthy, but now I'm just all in Healthy, because now I will have, I think it's like 1.9, I think. 9, it was close. Oh no. Oh, so, well, I was thinking that with the Grenadier, the comms that don't boost Healthy. So yeah, that's really good for 2.2 million health. Might not be like insane health levels as like say a Krieg, or I don't know how high he can get, but and that's still non-soldier comm. It's like 1.8. So I think honestly that health helps out a little bit. Which that is basically the build, and of course, having Forbearance. I saw online on the Gearbox forums somebody making like a Forbearance versus Quick Charge argument, and to me it just doesn't really seem worth it to do Forbearance when your shock dot, say, is like, I believe a 3-second duration, your fire is 7, and I think corrosive is 8 seconds. So I don't know, just to me it just doesn't didn't seem appealing to have negative 40% chance, and like I said, I don't really know if that's actual. The math I know in Borderlands is kind of a little different, and which I imagine it would be if it's 5 out of 5 would be like minus 40%, if it would be like almost half of it, or if it's just something different. So I just don't really spec it. The shield would be fairly good. I mean, it holds up fairly well in OP10. I mean, it's not going to last for more than a couple of seconds, but that might give you enough time to do what you need to do. And note that I am still on the vanilla game. I do not have the Ultimate Community Patch or whatever they're calling it, so I still play the normal game. And then you have Resourceful, Maglock, Grit. Yeah, I don't really need these. I did try out Maglock a couple times, and it does help out your turret, keep it out of harm's way if you really want to keep it out for that duration. But usually I try to just put mine in a spot where it's not going to attract too much attention. So just I thought I'd just go over my gear too a little bit. I've already touched on the class mods a little bit, and then I am still doing I'm still finding gear, and I really don't ask for gear or don't really go online anymore to trade with people. So this is all basically just found gear. So I have my soldier, which I mean it's gonna impact all the nice skills here, which makes it useful for pretty much everything. And then I'll have my rifleman comm. Would really like to have a 5.44, but luckily the +3 is only impact, so even if I get a 4, it's not going to bump that up too much. And eventually I'll have some more assault rifles. I think I have maybe an ogre and a curb blaster and a couple of Vladoff ones for right now, so it's not a whole lot, but I'll be adding to that soon. Then my grenadier, of course. I have my grenade damage. My heavy gunner, which I love. It's a really fun comm, and it makes your turret fire faster too. Veteran. This one's kinda I don't use it a whole lot. It's my chaotic evil. I have just the green one, but having a blue one for impact and maybe grit for like if I'm doing like a raid boss, maybe might be nice to have, but for now that's what I got. So for gear, so far I've got my Slaga, my baby maker, and then I have more baby. I hate that. I wish I'd stop that. Got more baby makers. Like I said, I'm still trying to get max levels for all these. So I've got that was kind of a most recent one, which I was really surprised that I got. But I think I honestly got I got lucky one day, and I had a couple pop out from Bartlesby, which is kind of nice because all they seem to be getting me is explosive ones. So I mean, they're OP9. It's not the end of the world, but if I can get one that's got a little more damage, that might be nice. But I do love the explosive one too. This was probably the most recent one I got, which the nice thing about it is it's bandit grip, so that gives me a few more bullets in the magazine. The damage is pretty good too. It's OP10. Only thing is just the reload time is a little slow. But like I said, the veteran comm will make up for that for a little bit. Then my Fiddle D, finally found that one day. That was good. I love this. This is the bullet speed prefix, so it launches out of there like a champ. And then even more than that, it's got the Maliwan exhaust, which also boosts the speed. So that thing just shoots out of there like nothing. So I was really happy to see that one. Then I got my Herald. I also have a Tor Grip Hard Herald too. I've been kind of switching back and forth on them. They're both really good. So the hard one gives me a little bit more damage, but then again, the double penetrating one is a lot of damage. So people can argue about DPS and all that, but I like them both. Then I got my Blockade. shield here, and it's like I said, it's on me 90% of the time. I like to go for capacity, because Axton's got really good recharge rate and delay skills. And you'll notice my delay is like 4.2, which might seem kind of high, but willing and situationally pressure will help that a lot. And the recharge rate, I love. This actually just happened to have a good recharge rate on it, so I was like, yes, score. And when I put that on with all my bonuses, it's like 7 million. So, actually, that's just a non-soldier column. Let me see. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit more. So any little bit helps, you know, especially for OP10. And of course, I got my Firestorm, my Tiny Tina grenade. I like that one. Out of all three of the grenades, I like that one the most. It's pretty potent. And so I also, so far, I've got my Meteor Shower. I found a homing pandemic as well as a homing quasar. I'm hoping that one day I'll get longbow versions of those, because that's the ones I like. I did actually get a longbow Stormfront, which was really nice from just farming the turtles one day. That was pretty cool. And then recently, Old Bull dropped me some. I think these are max stats. Well, I mean max damage, but I don't know about the damage per second part of it. They might not be max, but they're the 91 million, so I think they're close. And then I'd like to get a Fire Bee. I mean, that mine's really pushing it for damage it can do, so getting an OP10 one would be very nice, considering I have the other two flat off ones in OP10. There might not be well, aside from the pandemic, it might not be the one I don't like, but then I have a Singularity, which if I need it for something or just grouping them together, and it's explosive. Still kind of looking for a slag one too, and that might be more ideal, but for the time being it'll work. And I found a magic missile one day during, I think, when I was farming my ogre in the badass wave of magic slaughter, so I'll keep that on sometimes. And then I think this one dropped from King Mong himself, the slag transfusion, a really nice one. This fuse time is really good. There's probably a better one, but for what this does, I'm really happy with it. Then we got our relics, which I haven't been out to the preserve in a while to farm some more, but currently these are the ones I have. And I honestly don't remember what the max stats version is. So, again, I'll have to probably go out there one day and do some more farming. But I also got an Ahab to drop from, what's his name? G or whatever his name is. I found a really nice Leuta from Gettle. And I have the Shock and Fire version, but they're not Vladoff grip. But that one is a critical version, so that's pretty nice. And then I have I believe it's Fire Rate for Shock. So Scory, I like the Scory too, even though the magazine size isn't higher. It's still a good gun. And my Bada Booms. Oh man, this one was pretty lucky because I think he normally will drop non-elemental ones, which, I mean, of course this is explosive is an element, but some of those other guns, it's like they're not explosive, but they'll drop those before the elemental version, so I was very happy to find this one. It had a bandit grip, bandit exhaust. I got one the other day that was, I believe it was the same thing, but it was a pocket rocket. It had 11 magazine size. I was like, man, but of course it was like OP8, and I was like, man, why couldn't that have dropped an OP10? But regardless, and recently, he did churn out a couple near max level Bada Booms. So that's the damage prefix, and I got a sniper one, which is kind of kind of cool, but it's Mali 1 grip. Wish the magazine size was more, but same with my shock one. It's overpower 10, but I would prefer to have the more rounds in these friggin' TDR exhausts. I wish they would have been banded, but I guess I am lucky to have those. Then I got my flacker. It's got the Hyperion and the Torg, and I can definitely work with the Jacob scope. That's not going to kill it at all. So, it's a cool gun. What else did I... Oh, Sword Explosion, yep. Yep, I love this gun. One of my favorites. And hopefully if I do another quest reset or something, I can find one that's got a Hyperion stock on it. Might make it a little bit more DPS-y. And I think, yeah, that's all the weapons I have on me. And I have a few more in my locker. I can go ahead and show you. Along with some other goodies I picked up so far during my rise up to OP10. Got my lead storms. I only have fire and corrosive so far, but they both got Vladoff grip on them for extended magazine size. And I like the swift prefix because it enables the split that happens to happen for how would you say it? It allows the split to happen when the bullet is more towards the target as opposed to being closer to you. So other people would like different prefixes for it being able to split earlier, but mine kind of splits. The swift splits a little bit late, but that's a good thing in my opinion because that allows me to stand off a bit. So I can use this at like mid range or even maybe a little long range and control that split to my advantage. And I know that if I'm like mid range or longer, that's going to be potentially less damage I'm going to take to my shield and health, so that's always a good thing. And then I've got my omens. When I was farming the dragons for my blockade, they would just eventually spit out some omens. I mean, these are pretty good, but it always seems to give me that Swiss omen. But this one's got the TDR, and that one's got Torg. So they both, the shock and the corrosive, have TDR, but this one has Torg, which might be okay. And then my Sawbar, Vladoff. It's a pretty cool gun. And then also I found a Shred-a-Fire with Vladoff grip. And that thing just like shoots bullets out like no tomorrow. So it's a good candidate for my either the rifleman or the gunner. And this was my first practicable that I got dropped from Handsome Jack, and it's non-elemental, so I don't even know if I'm going to be using it. And then when I was farming Gettle for my Leudas, every now and then I'd pop out Rooks from Mowgli. So this one's a Doll. So there are a couple that are Doll grip, I think. Well, I thought. I thought I had a shock or a fire one, but I guess I didn't. And this is the one that actually dropped from, the first one I got dropped from Warlord Sloth, I think his name is. I'm forgetting all these people's names. Even though it has a Doll grip, it does have a really good stock. And the sight's pretty good too. So, and it's a wild. While the accuracy might not be the best, it does have the damage and the fire rate prefix. So I've been using it. It's not bad. I mean, for now it'll definitely do. And then I also have a wild Kerblaster, and I actually wanted to do a wild one for the Kerblaster because usually the accuracy isn't too much of an issue for me. And of course it's got the good stock and the Torg grip on it. So that's in my bank here. And then that's my that's the Hard Herald I was talking about. That's right there. And then this was one of my slagging tool from way back in the day. I never really found one that was oh yeah, you know what? This is OP10. I did actually find one. Took a while though, so I've been kind of keeping it in there until I get, like, say, another Pimpernel. And then I found a Juicy Ravager, which has got the kind of cool Tor grip, and then the Hyperion stock. So that's kind of cool. Then some other relics. Before I found a really nice launcher max ammo and a 5+5 grenade count, which was awesome. I didn't expect to find that. So I keep that in here, and then I picked up one of these resistance relics thinking maybe I'll use it one day. I might still, but haven't really been using it much. And I have I think the one I have now is a frontline rifleman, and I have put this assault one in the bank too, because I may, depending on which skill I prefer per +5, so I decided to keep that. And then this was the one I was using until I spec'd out a last ditch, so I went back to the blue one, so I kept that here too. And I kept a heavy gunner here too, just so I can get that +6 metal storm, so you never know when you'll have to scratch that itch. And then I found I got a long time ago a sticky longbow bouncing Bonnie slag that I can use for slagging people, and it won't hurt me. Then my chain lightning, it's still a good grenade. I don't really use it to strip my shields or anything, but it can be a good grenade to have fun with. And then because I got I bought it with something, and it had the skyrocket grenade in there, so I got that for free too, so which is pretty nice. It scales with your level. And then there's my antagonist that I said I use sometimes. It's got a pretty good damage reduction on there and deflect damage. And then my Big Blue Blaster, and maybe one day I'll find some elemental versions of them, which I had before, but I haven't found anything recently. So really, that's where my build and things are right now. And like I said, I'm still kind of finding new gear and trying to get some good stuff. And now that I think I finally got this silly lag issue taken care of, I honestly just had to disconnect my internet. That's the only time I'm able to play without the frame rate just going into the toilet. So I think what I'll do is start on the Fight for Sanctuary DLC here soon, because I really want to see what that's about. And then honestly, no, I don't know about Borderlands 3. It's kind of, I've seen people play it. I actually have not played it yet, but I've heard the guns and the gear and everything is amazing. Just the story is kind of crappy, so I don't really know what I want to do with that quite yet. But if I was able to just do the story for this Borderlands 2, that might get me started. So again, it's good seeing you all again. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you all later. Thanks.